In the heart of the galaxy, where stars burned like eternal lanterns, stood the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. Its walls were built from crystal that shimmered with 1,000 colors, reflecting the pride of empires older than memory. Here, the rulers of countless species gathered, their voices echoing with authority, their decisions shaping the fate of worlds. On this day, all eyes turned to one small corner of the galaxy. A new species had appeared on the stage of stars. They called themselves humans. The chamber was filled with whispers, clicking tongues, and low growls. Tall insectoids tapped their claws on polished stone. Reptilian warlords flicked their tongues, tasting the air. Winged delegates perched high above, glaring with disdain. All had come to watch the fate of this young species. The speaker of the council, a towering creature with skin like liquid metal, raised his staff. The chamber fell silent. "Bring forth the representatives of Earth," he declared, his voice cold and commanding. From the entrance, a small group of humans stepped forward. They wore simple suits, not the golden robes of alien nobility, nor the armored shells of soldiers. They were diplomats, calm and composed, though they stood among predators. The aliens laughed at the sight. "So fragile," hissed a scaled warlord. "Children," muttered a feathery envoy. "They do not belong among us," another scoffed. The speaker lifted his staff again, and the laughter quieted. His voice boomed across the chamber. "Humans of Earth," he said, "you have been observed. You spread across your home world like fire, reaching into the void of space without permission. You build machines of war. You break the balance of power. Now, the Council has decided your future." The human delegation stood still, listening. The speaker's eyes glowed with authority. "You will surrender your independence. Earth will become a subject world of the Council. Your fleets will be dismantled, your armies disbanded. You will pay tribute and follow our laws. In return, you will be given protection from dangers of the galaxy." A murmur of approval swept the chamber. Many aliens nodded, their teeth flashing in cruel smiles. To them, this was mercy. Humanity would be chained, but spared. One insectoid delegate leaned close to another, chittering. "They are lucky. Most young races are destroyed. At least they are offered servitude." The speaker continued, his voice colder now. "If you refuse, Earth will burn. Your cities will fall to fire. Your people will become slaves. The galaxy will erase you, and your name will be forgotten." Silence followed. The council waited for the humans to kneel, to beg, to accept their new chains. But the humans did not move. The alien delegates began to laugh again. "Do they not understand?" one said. "They are frozen with fear." Another sneered. "They will bow soon enough," a warlord growled. Then a single human stepped forward. He was not dressed in shining armor. He carried no weapon. He was simply an ambassador, a man whose voice was his only tool. Yet when he raised his head, there was no fear in his eyes. He looked at the gathered rulers of the galaxy creatures who had crushed empires, who commanded fleets that blotted out suns, and he spoke. His voice was steady, calm, but it carried through the chamber like thunder. "Your terms are heard," the Terran ambassador said. "But humanity does not surrender. We do not kneel. Not to you. Not to anyone." The hall erupted with outrage. Alien voices shrieked, claws scraped, tails lashed. The speaker slammed his staff against the floor, demanding silence. The ambassador's eyes were sharp, his tone unshaken. "You look at us and see weakness. You see a young race. You see farmers and workers, dreamers and builders. You call us primitive." He paused, and in that pause, the chamber grew heavy. "But you do not see the truth." The aliens leaned forward, some curious, others enraged. Terran's voice grew stronger. Every empire here believes it can break us. You believe you can threaten us into obedience. But hear this, those who come to Earth with chains will leave in ashes. Gasps echoed through the hall. The translator systems repeated his words in 100 alien tongues, the meaning striking every listener like a blade. The ambassador stepped closer to the council floor, his gaze burning. Humanity has survived war, famine, fire, and plague. We have fought each other for centuries, and we are still here. You call us fragile, but we are unbroken. You call us young, but we have learned faster than you ever imagined. You think us weak, but you have never seen us fight for our survival. Some alien leaders shifted uneasily. Others growled in anger. The ambassador's final words fell like a shadow over the chamber. Take this message back to your fleets, your empires, your rulers. If you approach us with war, then run. Run while you still can. For when humanity rises, the galaxy will remember. The chamber fell silent. The laughter was gone. Even the speaker's staff trembled in his hand. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt something it had long forgotten. Fear. V corner of the chamber still echoed with his final words, "Run while you still can." Some alien rulers dismissed it as madness. Others whispered in private, their voices low, their claws and mandibles clicking nervously. It had been many cycles since any young race had dared to defy the council. None had ever stood tall before them, let alone threatened them. The speaker of the council tried to calm the storm. "Do not be deceived," he declared. "They are a primitive people. They build cities, yes. They build weapons, yes. But their reach is small. Their fleets are few. They have no empire. This is nothing but empty bravado." But doubt had already been planted. Not every delegate believed the speaker's words. Far from the council's glittering halls, whispers of humanity traveled through the galaxy's trade routes and war zones. Stories carried by smugglers, spies, and mercenaries painted a different picture. "They fight like predators," one mercenary said, recalling a skirmish with Terran patrol ships. "They do not fear death," another whispered. "They charge even when outnumbered. I saw it with my own eyes." Still, the council needed proof. And so, they sent scouts to Earth. The first ships arrived quietly, slipping through the outer edges of the solar system. They masked their signals, keeping their engines cold, pretending to be shadows. Their orders were simple: watch, record, and return. At first, the scouts saw what they expected: blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, a young world, beautiful but ordinary. They observed the humans on the surface cities full of light, machines moving along endless roads, ships gliding across seas, billions of people working, trading, laughing. To the scouts, it looked harmless. A world of farmers and dreamers. That one insectoid scout clicked his mandibles in amusement. This is the threat they fear? They live like children. But then the scanners began to show something else. Deep below Earth's oceans, strange energy. Spikes appeared. Massive structures hidden beneath miles of water. Entire facilities cloaked from orbit. Their purpose unknown. In the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, the ice itself seemed to breathe. Beneath it, power readings pulsed like the heartbeat of a giant. And on the far side of the moon, where no alien eyes had dared look before, enormous shadows drifted, machines the size of mountains. Silent and waiting. The scouts grew uneasy. This cannot be right," one whispered. "How can such a young species build this much in silence?" The reports were sent back to the council, but they brought no peace. Some rulers laughed, calling it illusion. Others frowned, their instincts warning them that these were not empty threats. Still, the speaker ordered more scouts. He would not let fear rule the council. But the new scouts never returned. One by one, Their signals disappeared. The last transmission received was broken, filled with static and panic. Through the noise, a voice could barely be heard. "They are not what we thought. They are ready." And then silence. In the dark, human ships moved. They did not shine with gold or crystal like alien warships. They were black, sharp-edged, designed for war and nothing else. They did not broadcast their presence. They hunted silently, like predators in the void. One alien commander, watching from the shadows, finally saw them. Ships that seemed to melt into the darkness, armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Rail cannons that could pierce shields, missiles that split into swarms, each one guided like a predator chasing prey, and energy weapons that tore through matter like fire through paper. The commander's eyes widened. He realized too late the truth. The humans had been preparing all along. Back in the council chambers, the speaker slammed his staff again. "Lies, deceptions, these reports are tricks." But others were not convinced. The delegates shifted uncomfortably, their whispers growing louder. One reptilian overlord growled, his scales rattling. "You said they were weak. But if they truly hide such fleets, then we are blind." A feathered emissary shook her wings nervously. "What if their warning was not a bluff? What if they can strike us as easily as they struck the scouts?" The chamber grew tense. The laughter was gone now. And far away, on a blue planet orbiting a yellow sun, humanity watched. They had seen the council's demands. They had heard the threats. And they knew the galaxy underestimated them. But that was exactly how humans wanted it. Suspense end. In the cold darkness of space, the human fleet remained hidden, silent, waiting. Their weapons were primed. Their eyes were on the stars. The warning had been given once. If the galaxy did not listen, then the galaxy would learn. The council could not ignore the rumors any longer. Scouts had vanished. Strange signals had been recorded. Whispers of human weapons spread like wildfire. But in the halls of power, pride was stronger than fear. "They are only a young species," the speaker declared. "If we do not act now, others will see us as weak. The galaxy will laugh at us. We must remind them who rules these stars." And so, a fleet was assembled. Not a small one. Not scouts or patrols. This was an armada, hundreds of ships from dozens of species, united under the council's banner. Their orders were simple. Fly to Earth. Show humanity the weight of galactic power. Break their pride. The fleet entered the solar system like a storm. Massive warships slipped past Neptune and Uranus, their engines burning bright against the void. Cruisers and destroyers formed a wall of steel and fire. Swarms of fighters filled the empty dark. From Earth's telescopes, the sight was terrifying. To most humans, it looked like the sky itself was falling. News spread across the planet. An alien fleet had arrived. Panic began to grow. Crowds filled the streets. Governments scrambled. Families held each other close. But deep underground in bunkers, hidden stations, and command centers, Terran leaders were calm. They had expected this. They had prepared for this. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Watcher, Admiral Vayner of the Council smirked. His ship alone was larger than most Terran cities. "Pathetic," he hissed, watching Earth's tiny defense satellites. "They have nothing. One strike, and this world will kneel." Around him, alien officers laughed and exchanged arrogant whispers. But then, something strange happened. The fleet's sensors began to flicker. Radars failed. Communications scrambled. One by one, long-range scanners went dark. "What is this?" Vayner growled, slamming his clawed hand against the console. "Why are we blind?" No one answered. In the silence of space, shadows began to move. At first, they looked like debris, small shapes drifting near the asteroid belt. But then, the Shapes lit up with sudden power. Terran warships. They rose from the darkness like predators from a cave. Sleek, angular, painted in black that swallowed starlight. Their engines burned cold blue. Their weapons glowed with restrained fury, that there were not hundreds, not even dozens. Only a handful. The council officers laughed again. This is all they have? A few toys? They send insects to fight a hurricane. But the laughter faded when the first Terran ship moved. The TSV Retribution fired. Its rail cannon roared, a shot of hyper-accelerated metal, crossing the void at impossible speed. It slammed into a council cruiser, tearing straight through shields, armor, and the alien ship split apart in silence. Its burning remained scattering like sparks. The council fleet froze. This cannot be, whispered an officer, but the humans did not stop. Missiles launched hundreds, then thousands splitting into swarms. Each one hunted its target with precision, slipping past defenses. Weaving through point defense fire, council destroyers exploded in waves of light. Fighters vanished in clouds of flame. The void became a graveyard. Admiral Vayner's jaw tightened. "Counterattack," he roared. "All ships destroy them." The Armada opened fire. Beams of plasma and energy lanced across space. Torpedoes streaked through the void. Entire barrages crashed against Terran ships. But something was wrong. The Terran vessels moved like no ships they had ever seen. They twisted, darted, and slid through the attacks with terrifying grace. Shields shimmered, absorbing hits that should have torn them apart. And then they struck back again. One Terran frigate vanished in a flash of light, only to reappear behind enemy lines. Its guns opened fire at point-blank range, cutting through. 3 cruisers before slipping away. The galaxy had never seen technology like this. On Earth, people watched from hidden command centers. Screens lit up with live feeds from satellites and drones. Cheering erupted as alien ships died. Fear turned to awe. For the first time, humanity stood against the galaxy and did not fall. Admiral Vayner's confidence began to crumble. His fleet was gone. The rest was in chaos. These weapons, this maneuvering, he muttered. How can they fight like this? They were not supposed to have this power. But deep inside, he already knew the answer. The humans had been hiding. Their strength all along, the Council had thought them weak. But Earth was a death world, and its children were born for war. In the chaos. One final transmission was sent to the Council chambers. Carried by the last surviving scout ships. It showed burning wreckage, shattered cruisers, and Terran vessels. Standing victorious in the dark. And then a human voice echoed across the galaxy once more. We warned you. Approach us with chains, and you will leave in ashes. Suspense end. The transmission cut to static. In the grand hall of the Council, silence fell. For the first time in living memory, the rulers of the galaxy were not laughing. They were afraid. Far away, on their small blue world, humanity was just beginning to rise. The Council chamber had never been so silent. For ages, it had been a place of laughter, arrogance, and power. Empires had been mocked here, young races broken, and rebels crushed by decree. But now, silence ruled. The transmission played on the great crystal screens once more. Burning wreckage drifting through the void. Hundreds of warships destroyed. And among the flames, Terran vessels standing strong, dark, sharp, silent as predators. The last words of the human voice echoed through the chamber like a ghost. We warned you. Approach us with chains, and you will leave in ashes. The speaker gripped his staff so tightly that the metal groaned. His voice cracked with anger. Lies. Trickery. They caught us off guard. Nothing more. We will build another fleet twice. As strong, 3 times as large. Earth cannot stand against the full might of the Council. but no one cheered. No one laughed. Instead, the delegates shifted uneasily. Some looked at the floor, others tapped claws or wings nervously. Even the fiercest warlord sat in silence. Finally, a reptilian overlord spoke, his deep voice rumbling through the hall. I commanded ships in that fleet. They were not weak. They were not unprepared. They were erased. A feathered emissary trembled as she raised her wings. My cousin was on the Silver Crest. That ship was armed with weapons that have won wars for centuries. It was destroyed in seconds. Seconds. Whispers turned to arguments. Arguments turned to shouts. They should be destroyed before they grow stronger. No, if we attack again, they will bring war to our worlds. They are only humans. How can they fight us all? How? You saw it. They are not weak at all. The chamber filled with fear. Far away, in the hidden command bunkers of Earth, the humans watched as their message spread. They had not destroyed the fleet by chance. Every strike had been calculated. Every weapon had been tested for years in silence. Every trap had been planned out. Now, the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity was no longer an unknown species. Humanity was a power. A second message followed, transmitted directly to the council chambers. This time, the Terran ambassador himself peered on the screens. He stood in the same plain suit, no armor, no weapons, no crown. Just a man, but his eyes were harder than steel. You sent your fleet to break us, he said calmly. You believed your numbers would crush us. You believed your power would frighten us. You believed we were weak. He paused. His words echoed across the chamber, but you were wrong. The aliens shifted nervously. Some hissed, others growled, but none spoke. You sit in your shining halls and call yourselves rulers of the galaxy. Yet when you sent your armada, you did not return with victory. You returned with wreckage. The ambassador leaned closer to the camera. His voice was quiet now, but it carried more weight than thunder. Remember this. Humanity does not kneel. We do not surrender. And if you push us again, we will not stop at defense. We will bring war to you. His final words chilled even the bravest in the chamber. Run while you still can. The screen went black. For several moments, the council was frozen. Then panic erupted. Delegates shouted over one another. Warlords demanded retaliation. Traitors begged for peace. Some called for an alliance, others for extermination. The speaker slammed his staff against the floor, the sound cracking like lightning. Silence. He roared, but even his voice no longer held the same power. Fear had broken the unity of the council. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of the galaxy, the warning spread like fire. Smugglers whispered of human weapons that could pierce any shield. Refugees spoke of fleets moving like predators. Mercenaries told stories of Terran commanders who fought without fear, who stared into death and did not blink. And everywhere, one phrase was repeated again and again, like an omen. Run while you can. On Earth, military leaders stood before. Giant screens filled with data. Fleets were being constructed in hidden shipyards around asteroids and moons. Weapons were tested in silence. Colonies expanded quietly. The humans knew the council would not give up. Pride would not allow it. The galaxy would return in force, but humanity was ready. Every battle, every war, every struggle of their history had shaped them for this moment. They were no longer just defending Earth. They were preparing to rise. In the council chambers, the speaker tried once more to rally his empire. We cannot allow this. He bellowed. If we show weakness, the galaxy will collapse into chaos. They must be destroyed, no matter the cost. But his words rang hollow. Too many had seen the truth. Too many feared what would happen if they tried again. A reptilian overlord leaned forward, his eyes burning. You call them weak. I call T. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. The echo of the Terran ambassador's words still lingered in the minds of every species present. If you force us, your stars will go dark. At first, the council members had laughed. But now, no one was laughing. Fear in the council. The high speaker of the council, a tall insectoid with shimmering wings, tapped its claws nervously against the desk. Terrans are few. They are new. They cannot do what they claim, it said, trying to sound confident, but others were not convinced. The reptilian warlord, General Vashkor, hissed quietly. Then explain this. Our fleets along the rim colonies vanish without trace. No debris, no survivors, only silence. Murmurs filled the chamber. Reports of missing fleets, destroyed outposts, and broken supply lines had been trickling in for weeks. The strange part? No one saw the attackers. Could it be humans? Whispers in the shadows. Ambassadors of smaller species leaned together, whispering. The humans warned us. They said stars would die. They are too small to fight. The council. But what if they were not bluffing? The fear spread like wildfire. For the first time, the mighty Galactic Council felt weak. Evidence arrives. A messenger drone floated into the chamber, projecting images above the council table. The images showed a destroyed council armada, 50 warships, burning in silence. Wreckage drifted in space, torn apart by weapons no one could identify. Not plasma, not lasers, not anything the council recognized. And then, one image froze the entire chamber. A Terran vessel. Small, sharp, and black as night. No insignia, no signal. Only one line of text burned into the wreckage of a council. Flagship, we warned you. The chamber erupted in chaos. That the council divided. Some shouted for war. Crush Earth now. Show them their place. Others trembled. No. If they can do this to fleets of 50, what can they do to us? The high speaker raised its voice, but the fear was too strong. The once proud council was divided, weakened. Afraid. Human calm. Meanwhile, the Terran ambassador stood quietly at the edge of the chamber. He did not smile. He did not gloat. He simply looked at them with calm, steady eyes. Earth does not want war, he said softly. But if war is forced upon us, then know this: humanity does not fight to win. We fight to end. The words struck harder than any weapon. Every alien in the hall felt the weight of them. Suspense. And as silence returned, a question hung heavy. In the air, would the council continue to push? Or had they already awakened something they could no longer control? The alien rulers looked at one another with dread. The warning was clear, and yet some still whispered of testing Terran resolve, because deep down, one truth terrified them more than war itself. Humans were not afraid. The galaxy was holding its breath. For weeks, every news channel across hundreds of species had shown the same. Terrifying images, Terran fleets on the move. The humans had not hidden their preparations. They allowed their warships to be seen, their carriers, their destroyers, their long silent weapons that made even the strongest empires whisper in fear. The Galactic Council had demanded surrender. They had mocked Earth as primitive. Now, their fleets sat in orbit around a council world, nervous and uncertain. Inside the great hall of the council, the alien rulers gathered once again. The same leaders who had laughed at humanity only months before now looked uneasy. Their soldiers were restless. Some asked to leave, to withdraw quietly, before it was too late. But the high speaker of the council struck his staff on the floor. No, we cannot show weakness to the Deathworlders. If we bend, then all the galaxy will fear them more than us. We must demand obedience again. His words echoed, but none of the other rulers answered. Moments later, the doors opened. Terran ambassadors walked into the chamber. They did not come with fear. They did not come with weakness. Behind them, displayed on giant holoscreens, was the vast Terran fleet armies of ships, forming a wall of steel and fire across the stars. The lead ambassador, a tall woman in a dark uniform, stepped forward. Her voice was calm, steady, but carried a weight that pressed on every alien heart. You came to us with demands. You thought Earth would bow. You mocked us, called us primitive. But now you see, humanity does not kneel. The chamber fell silent. Even the most arrogant leaders lowered their eyes. She continued, "You asked us to obey alien law. Instead, hear this. Humanity will never again be threatened, never again be mocked, never again be treated as lesser. We do not seek war, but if you bring it, then your stars will burn." Gasps rippled across the chamber. Some council members trembled. Others clenched their fists in anger. But none dared interrupt. On the screens, Terran ships moved in formation. Massive carriers opened their bays, revealing weapons larger than some alien cities. Drones swarmed in precise patterns. Battleships powered their cannons, not firing, only waiting. The message was clear. Humanity was ready, and nothing could stop them. The High Speaker tried to answer, his voice shaking. You threaten the Council? Do you realize what you are saying? You are one world. We are hundreds of worlds. The human ambassador did not flinch. Her eyes locked on him like a predator staring at prey. Hundreds of worlds, yes, but none like ours. You call us Deathworlders because we survived the most dangerous planet you have ever known. That is your answer. We survived there, and we will survive here? Do not test us again? For a long moment, there was silence. Then, one of the council members, a scaled alien from the Kareth species, rose to his feet. I vote to end the demands against Earth. We cannot afford this war. Not against them. Another followed, then another. One by one, the rulers who had once mocked humanity now raised their hands in surrender. They did not speak of peace. Out of kindness, they spoke of survival. The High Speaker fought against it, shouting, "Cowards! They cannot rule us. We are the Council." But his voice was drowned out as the votes piled higher and higher. At last the chamber spoke. Demands against Earth were withdrawn. Humanity would remain free. The human ambassador gave a single nod. Wise. Perhaps one day, trust may grow between us. But remember this day, Council. You demanded obedience. What you received was a warning. And that warning will echo across the galaxy for as long as humans walk the stars. With that, the Terrans turned and left. They did not wait for thanks. They did not need applause. Their fleets in orbit slowly withdrew, but every alien knew the humans had made their point. Outside, across alien worlds, citizens whispered of the event. Some called it terrifying, others called it inspiring. A few even said, perhaps it is better to stand with the humans than against them. The council chamber, once filled with laughter at Earth's weakness, now sat in silence. No one dared mock humanity again, and as the Terran fleet sailed back toward the stars, one thought burned itself into the minds of every species. The galaxy had tried to chain the Deathworlders. Instead, humanity had risen, and their warning would never be forgotten.